Is Mannix set to join us?
He kind of is.
All right. He's the senior NBA writer for Sports Illustrated. Chris Mannix back on the program. Was it a great day for the NBA that the Greek Freak is staying in Milwaukee?
It was a great day for the NBA. A great day for small markets. A great day for the hope that Adam Silver has to ultimately establish league-wide parity. I mean, look, Dan, small markets have taken a pounding in the last few years, whether it's Kawhi Leonard in San Antonio, LeBron, Anthony Davis forcing his way out of New Orleans. You know, this wasn't Giannis saying, all right, I'm going to give you a 1+1 type extension to buy a little bit more time. This was Giannis saying, I'm all in on the Milwaukee Bucks. I mean, remember, he could have signed this exact same contract next summer, exact same one. But by doing it now, he is showing, really endorsing the Bucks and everything they do. And I think it's great for the NBA.
But what was he thinking about? It felt like he was contemplating the possibility of maybe Florida, maybe Texas to play with the Mavs or play with the Heat, or like, I'm just trying to figure out what was he factoring in of whether or not he was going to stay or not.
Well, from what I understand, I mean, there were a lot of variables, not just going to play in those areas, but the tax ramifications of playing in Florida and Texas. And look, there were a lot of things to talk about. He had a meeting with ownership earlier this month that reinforced to him that the Bucks were not going to be, cheap when it comes to payroll. I mean, we've seen teams in recent years skimp a little bit when it comes to not wanting to spend deep into the luxury tax. Bucks ownership assured him that they would be willing to do that. He had another meeting with John Horst, who has been really masterful, Dan, at assembling this roster around him. And Horst assured him that we're going to continue to look for talent. Like, they've depleted a lot of their assets in the last couple of weeks with that Drew Holiday deal, but there still are things the Bucks can do to improve this team around Giannis. And Giannis heard from management that they're going to try to do it. So, I think he was just weighing everything. And look, this is the biggest decision, outside of his personal life that he's ever going to make. He's going to be a Buck until his early 30s. And I think he just wanted to weigh every option appropriately.
Give me the team that was disappointed / devastated by the Greek Freak staying in Milwaukee.
It starts with Miami. I think the Heat really believed that they had a legitimate shot at making a run at Giannis in 2021. I mean, their best audition for Giannis was what they did to the Bucks in the playoffs just this past season. I mean, they dismantled Milwaukee, and I think that certainly showed Giannis that this was a team that he could step into, a co-star in Jimmy Butler, a big man in Bam Adebayo that he could win championships with for years to come. But it wasn't just limited to Miami, Dan. I mean, you could hear the groans in Toronto, where the Raptors were certainly preparing for a run at Giannis. Dallas, another team that wanted a shot at Giannis. Even the Lakers, had some thoughts on being able to clear enough cap space to sign Giannis next summer as well. So I think there'll be a ripple effect here. Like, these teams were protecting their cap space for the summer of 2021. Now that they don't have to do that, I think we might see more activity on the trade market.
We're approaching the start of the NBA season. Aside from Milwaukee, who had the best offseason in your opinion?
After watching Brooklyn play in its preseason opener, I'm going to say Brooklyn. And they didn't do much because they just got Kevin Durant back and, brought the band back together. But I watched Kevin Durant, Dan, and this kind of reinforces everything I heard over the last few months from people that participated in the scrimmages with Durant or watched the scrimmages. I kept hearing over and over again that Kevin Durant was all the way back, that he was the same player we saw before the Achilles injury. And watching him in that preseason opener, I thought he moved fluidly. He had explosiveness. It's only a short burst of time playing in a game like that. But watching him, I have no reason to believe that we're not going to see something close to the old Kevin Durant. And if we see that, combined with a healthy Kyrie Irving, two guys that are proven playoff performers, it's hard not to look at the Nets as at least being a co-favorite in the conference.
I'm not worried about Durant, which sounds strange for a guy who hasn't played in a year and a half coming off Achilles surgery. I'm worried about Kyrie.
Yeah.
Should I be?
Yes. Short answer is yes. I mean, look, there are a lot of parallels to this version of the Nets to the 18-19 Celtics, and not just because Kyrie was a part of both teams. You've got, young guys that have, kind of already proven themselves to a degree. They're now being asked to accept lesser roles. And all the public comments I'm hearing out of Brooklyn now, Dan, are comparable to what I heard in Boston in 18-19, where these guys said, no, we'll take a secondary role. We're fine. We just want to win. How does Kyrie manage some of that? Like, he, as the point guard, is going to have to make sure that these guys are involved. A bigger issue, though, Dan, at least in the early on, is, look, the James Harden chatter isn't going to die down. The Nets are going to be a contender for James Harden as long as he's available, much in the same way that Boston was for Anthony Davis during those last couple of years. So if the chatter continues to focus on James Harden, Brooklyn, those players in that locker room are going to look around and go, oh, I mean, if you're talking about acquiring James Harden, that means I go. That means I'm not part of this. And look, we've seen kind of firsthand with the Celtics, a year earlier with the Lakers, when Brandon Ingram and those guys were talked about in the Davis trade, that can really toxify your locker room. So how the star players on that team, Kyrie and Kevin Durant, handle that stuff, I think is going to be a factor in the success of the Nets.
He's Chris Mannix, senior writer for Sports Illustrated. What is James Harden's approach here, aside from showing up looking like a big man on campus, literally?
Didn't look great. Didn't look great in that preseason debut. I mean, his approach, and I think this is going to be his approach, is just keep his head down, keep playing hard, and sort of anticipate that the Rockets trade him before the deadline in March.
Looks like his head is down in his plate. That's the problem.
Not touching that one at the moment, but this is he certainly isn't in the best of shape coming into this season. But he's got to go out there and play. He has got to be a active member of this team. He's got to be a good soldier. All those cliches. He's got to do all those things, because if you're a distressed asset, you just become more difficult to trade. And the Rockets have made it clear in conversations they've had with teams that have inquired that they're not just going to dump James Harden. Like, come to them with a massive offer, or else don't come to them at all. That's been their position.
But Chris, I haven't heard an offer yet. Has somebody made a tangible offer for James Harden where you say those players are going to Houston in exchange for Harden and whatever else?
Well, I don't think it's as simple as, like, here's an email, I'll trade you this, this, and that. There have been broad strokes conversations, with Brooklyn. There have been conversations with the Philadelphia 76ers. I don't know exactly how far those conversations have gone, but there have been broad strokes conversations about what it would take to get James Harden. That means a core of young players, including a blue chip guy, and basically all the draft picks you have left in your arsenal. That's what it's going to take from Houston's perspective. The question is, Dan, over the next month, and this is the big one, will Philadelphia deal Ben Simmons for James Harden? That's the player the Rockets would absolutely jump at in a James Harden deal. They'll probably want more, and there will be some haggling between both sides, but that's a deal that could come together relatively quickly if the Sixers are willing to move off Ben Simmons.
Give me the download on the Lakers' new secret weapon coming off the bench.
Talen Horton-Tucker, he's a good player, man. He played mostly the G League last year and was really effective, but always in the G League, you have no idea what you're going to get. But, over the last couple of weeks and months, you've heard LeBron James speak glowingly about this kid, a guy that can play, is versatile, plays multiple positions, can shoot the three. I mean, I think he's going to be a real factor for the Lakers, almost like found gold with LA, who is badly in need of rotation players on the back end of that bench.
And he was out of Iowa State?
Yes.
And I think he's only like 19, maybe he's now 20. But
I think he just turned 20. Yeah, he just turned 20. And look, he's just one of those guys that you don't see coming. And as I said, you saw him coming for the better part of the last couple of months after watching him and working out with him. I mean, when you have a versatile guy that can play a few different positions and can shoot the three on that Lakers team, that is invaluable. That is exactly what you're looking for on a team that needs versatility.
Great to see you again, Chris. Thanks for joining us as always.
You got it, Dan.
That's Chris Mannix there. I forgot who I was talking to. That's Chris Mannix of Sports Illustrated, senior NBA writer there.